Hi everyone, it's Sherry from the blog OurLifeHomeschooling.com, where I share homeschooling encouragement for everyday moms. I'm going to be showing you today an interview with a homeschool mom. This is a friend of mine. Her name is Lisa. I know her family, her kids, known them for several years, and she's going to be talking about keeping it simple in homeschooling. For all the years that Lisa has been homeschooling and the times that we've spent together, I just know this is something she is really familiar with. I've been to her home, and if you're a homeschool mom, you know how difficult it can be to keep the house clean, to get your schoolwork done, to juggle little ones and older kids, and to reach all those multiple ages. And Lisa is someone that I think just does this really well. So I am excited to share our conversation with you. Without further ado, here's Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, thanks for having me.
We've known each other for a long time, and I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about homeschooling and keeping it simple. I've been to your house, and I know you and your family, and I think you do a really good job at this.
All right. Actually, we have a whole new house, so I'll have to have you over again.
Yes, I'd love that. Well, let's just start with introductions. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. I am Lisa Shirk. I'm married to Peter, and we have 6 children. Our oldest is 15, and our youngest is 2. We have 3 girls and 3 boys in that order. I've been homeschooling since my oldest was in the 2nd grade.
Wow, so that is how many years?
I don't know. I think 7. I haven't actually counted in a while.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you've learned a couple things along the way.
Yes.
So, what,
Simple.
go ahead.
I've learned to keep it simple. That's what I've learned. My very first year, I bought a very big box curriculum because I was afraid to leave something out. I was afraid I wouldn't teach everything. And I thought, I better buy as much curriculum as possible because I wanted to make sure I taught everything. But that was not necessary.
Yeah, I know we all have that fear of like what we're going to leave out or what we're going to be missing. And I think that's pretty normal for most
Right.
moms. Um, so what does keeping it simple and homeschooling look like for you?
Sure. So, like I said, that first year that I homeschooled, I bought a really big box curriculum and it came with so much. It came with, I don't even know, I don't remember how many books, but it probably was over 25 books. And at first it was really exciting, but I soon realized that because I had 4 children at the time, that I was just not going to be able to get it all done. So, over the years, I have found that it just works best for us to focus the best that I can on the core subjects. So that would be math and English and science and history. But for me personally, I just focus mostly on the math and the English, and then I outsource for the history and the science. So, yeah, as far as the science and the history go, we follow a curriculum, but I don't do all of the science experiments. I don't do a lot of projects and things like that for history.
Yes. And what do you use for history?
Veritas Press.
Okay, yeah, we do
Yeah,
too. I love
I think
your.
I got you actually.
What's that?
I think I learned that from you actually. And the kids really love it. They find it very engaging and they learn all the songs and everything. And it takes a huge load off of me.
Exactly. I know that's the way I felt and still feel. I love history and it's almost been hard for me to hand that over. But I mean, I have other times where I can read different history books to them, or, maybe our read aloud will be like a historical fiction or something. But just, I know they do such a great job. And like you said, it is engaging. The kids enjoy it. And so it's one thing that I am really glad to outsource. And
Yeah,
it's been a
me
blessing.
too. And honestly, my oldest, who is almost 15, she just loves history. I don't know if she got it from Veritas Press, but she just reads constantly historical fiction. So
Yeah. Yeah.
working well.
That's great. So what does it look like on a day-to-day basis in your homeschool? Do you do every subject every day? Um, how does it work for you guys?
Well, I mean, as being a mom, every day is different. The children wake up in a different mood every day. So my goal is always to do English and math for sure.
Mhm.
And since my older children take piano, I try to get them to practice the piano, and having the history outsourced is fantastic. So English, math, and history are pretty much every single day,
Mhm.
along with practicing piano. And, if a day is going well, then we do science, or we might even do art, because we do a lot of art hub for kids.
Mm.
So every day
Yeah.
is different. I feel like I try to keep the English and math and history every single day. And then if we're having a great day and things are going well, then we do other subjects. If the toddler's having a hard time, then we might do less. And I might just say, okay, it's time to go outside. You guys need to find something to do on your own, or I might assign them some chores or something like that. So yeah, that's how our days go. They're
Yeah.
flat. I
I'm
try to
sorry.
be.
You try to be flexible. Sorry, I almost missed that last part. I think that's so great because with little ones, you just have to be flexible. I mean,
Yeah.
and so just trying to do the bare minimum, like the important things like math and English, and just kind of keeping that the focus. And then when you're having a good day, you can add in the other things. But you're always going to have those times where, the toddler or the baby is just totally off schedule. And so when you can be flexible like that, it just takes the stress out of it, I think.
Yes, very much so. We have a pond, and we have, we have 4 acres. So the kids go outside and, they do science. They look at the tadpoles, and they play in the yard, and they pick cherries, and they they do
Yes.
things science related every day, whether or not we open a book, and they read. So
Yeah. And just that free time and when they love to read, that just fills in so many gaps, I feel like, because there's
yes,
always things that we probably feel like we're missing. But there's always going to be something that maybe we didn't touch on at some time. But if they love to learn and if they're always curious, then it's going to all even out and they're going to have a well-rounded, knowledge of the subject. Yeah.
absolutely.
I've seen that with my kids too. So, what do you all do about extracurricular activities?
Yeah, so my girls, when they were younger, they wanted to do dance. So we kind of started with that. And it was nice because, well, having the 3 girls and then the 3 boys, my girls were originally interested in the same thing. But as, time has gone on, we, we could see that, extracurricular activities can take up a whole lot of time. So what we have tried over the years is just to consolidate it, to try to get as many things as we can on the same night, at the same time, at the same place.
Mhm.
My girls have taken dance and gymnastics at a Christian dance studio. And this past year, my boys took gymnastics at the same place.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the reasons that we wanted to move out into the country is because my oldest is interested in horses. So we have tried to do as many things at home as we can. Not everybody can have horses at their house, but my boys are interested in riding like dirt bikes and 4 wheelers. So we can do that just at home. And like I said, we got them into gymnastics classes at the same place where my girls take dance. So we just try to keep things as much as possible on the same night and at the same place. And personally, I feel that I like to keep the weekends free.
Yeah.
It just gets really out of hand when you have things during the weekend and on the weekends. So
I know. Yeah.
so far, that's what we've done. I think it's great when the kids can do things that bring them joy. that builds their self-confidence and
Mhm.
um, yeah, where they can make friends and meet other kids their own age. But at the same time, I don't want to be someone who's running all over the place every night of the week and out all weekend long. So we just try to consolidate as much as possible and let them choose, but also uh, keep things to you know just a few nights a week.
Right. Yeah, I think, sometimes we want these things for our kids, like you said, to help develop them and to give them that interaction with other kids and to give them something personal that they enjoy and a skill they can build on. But when it becomes so much that it infringes on our family time, then it doesn't do that. It doesn't have that effect.
Right.
So, yeah, I have a couple kids too that all have the same interests, and it's really, really nice because we can just kind of group that and do things along that same interest and you know divide our time like that. It makes it so much easier, um, because it can so easily just take over your family time, which can be really stressful, and then they don't enjoy it as much.
Right.
It's a hassle for the mom and for the whole family.
Right. Agree.
So on a day-to-day basis, you have six kids. Your oldest is Lael is
She's 14. She'll be 15 this summer.
okay, and your youngest is not in school. How old is
Right. He's
2?
2 years
Okay.
old.
And then you have another preschooler, right?
Yeah. Simon is 5.
Okay. Okay. I always get Simon and Levi mixed up.
Mhm.
Um, so you have two that are not in school. So what does it look like for you on a normal day when you're trying to homeschool all these kids at one time? You have a preschooler, a toddler. How do you manage that?
Yes. I think that's probably been the most difficult thing about homeschooling, actually, is having all the different ages. So this past year, what I tried was I tried doing the school with my 7-year-old early in the morning because my girls are getting older, so they're starting to sleep in a little bit longer. I do practice the better late than early philosophy.
Mhm.
Um, I have written down here that Raymond and Dorothy Moore wrote the Better Late Than Early book.
Mhm.
And I've found that has worked really well for me. Honestly, my girls, for whatever reason, I guess they were just more into like sort of textbook learning, but they kind of just picked up the alphabet on their own. I hardly had to teach them how to read. They just kind of taught themselves. I mean, I did a little bit, but for my first son, it was a little bit different. I had to spend a lot more time with just the basics. Um, but I've started doing school with him early in the morning. We don't do a ton. He's still young. He's 7 years old. Um, we just did the past couple of years a lot of alphabet recognition and number recognition. Yeah, so I do school with him early in the morning before the girls even come downstairs, and it only takes a couple of hours.
Yeah.
We do some writing, some reading, and some math. And then he's off playing with the 5-year-old. So the two of them, they entertain each other. And I also keep a lot of things on hand, like we have that, I don't want no remember what it's called, like magnetic sand or whatever. It sticks to itself. I
Mhm.
have a lot of art supplies like paint and coloring things so that the younger children can kind of be entertained, because that's really where homeschooling becomes difficult. It's not so much teaching the school, it's when the littler kids,
There.
yeah, yeah, it's when they see that the attention's not on them and it's like, mommy, mommy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I tried to keep them busy with uh, activities like that. And then, like I said, getting the younger children done in the morning so they can entertain each other while the older children get up and start their school.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty similar to how it is in our house. Our younger kids, so Will's 5, and Holland is 2. They pretty much They do. After I spend a little bit of time with them, they will play together. Now, some days it's better than others. Some days they'll really play great and we can get so much done. And then other days it's like, okay, this is just not working and we just have to stop. So it does really depend. But yeah, and they also sometimes will just sit beside their older siblings and just watch what they do. And, they think they're doing school and which is just really cute when they think they're doing school by their siblings. But I think that's very similar to how, we do it here. Just spend a little bit of time with whoever is the beginning reader and get them going, and it takes so little time. It
It
really,
does.
yeah,
Very little. I mean, when you're one-on-one and, you have that quality time with them, I find that and they absorb it. And, when kids are just starting to learn how to read and they're doing the low level math, it takes a lot out of them. So they put in the effort and they do it and then they're exhausted. So they really can't do more than, an hour or so of
Mm,
learning.
yeah.
Um, and then they're off to do something else, hopefully, right?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Yes. And with the better, what is it? Okay, better late than early, you know, I have found now, I was a little bit worried, with my son, because I thought, my daughters, they learned so early and so fast that in the end, when everybody gets to be about 8 or 9 years old, it kind of all levels out. Now, you can
It's
learn to read when you're 4 or you're 5, or you can learn to read when you're 7, you're 8. But when you're 9, you're 10, everything just sort of comes together and the children know what they're supposed to learn. Like I found that with some children, um, you try to do certain language arts or math with them, and maybe they can't do it at that age, but you just wait 6 more months and all of a sudden they can do it. So why wait and pressure them to read if they're not quite ready to read at six
right.
or and a half or 5 or whatever? If you just give them a little bit more time, then all of a sudden they can do it really easy.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like about this better late than early method.
Mhm. I completely agree. Dorinda Wilson has a quote or a story along those lines where she says, you can go ice fishing and, just work all day in the middle of winter, to try to catch a fish, or you can wait till the spring thaw and, it's easy, get it all done in one day. And that's kind of the same principle with that. You just wait until they're ready. It's just so much easier. It happens so quickly.
Right. Because they're all wired differently. We're all wired differently when it comes to learning.
Right. Yes. So, Lisa, I've been to your house and I'm really impressed with how orderly and how just how smooth everything looks. I feel like you do a really good job at that. How do you manage your home and homeschooling? Because that's always, I know sometimes I've felt like, okay, I can take care of my home and I can homeschool, but putting them together just seems
Yeah,
impossible sometimes. So what advice would you give and how do you do that?
sure. So it's been years now, but at one point I just thought, oh my goodness, like how am I going to do all the things I need to do as a mother? And I just had this thought of like, I have too many things. I have too much stuff. I have too much going on. And I started getting into minimalism. Um, I didn't know what it was back then, but all I knew was that I had too many responsibilities. I had too many things. The kids had too many toys. And so I just started making my home very simple.
Mhm.
I started just having enough toys and enough clothes and enough kitchen things, just enough what I needed and not a whole lot of extra. So yeah, I mean that is my method for being able to do all the responsibilities and keep track of all the things that I have to do, is keeping a very simple home.
Mhm. Do you find that you have to like maybe you get rid of things at one point, but then you have to revisit it again every so often?
Absolutely. Yes. I find that, sometimes I get to the point where I think, okay, this is getting too hard again. It's taking me way too long to pick up the house. Or, I send the kids to their room and I say, please pick up your room. And I find they can't do that.
Right.
So that's when I realize, okay, we have too much stuff. We have too many things. The children have too many toys.
Yeah.
I kind of have the philosophy that the children can have as much as they can take care of on their own. So if I find that, a certain child has more things than they can actually clean up or put away, then it's probably time to donate some things. So there are probably, 2 or 3 times a year when I go through the house and I just, get a bag and I say, okay, I find that the kids aren't really playing with this. They take it out and it gets put on the floor, but nobody ever picks it up. And I just donate it.
Yeah.
It keeps things more simple for myself, and
It feels so good. I feel so good when I have a bag of stuff that is going out of the house. It's the best feeling ever.
right. Things are always coming in. So if we don't take action to, remove things from our house, eventually it will just be overflowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we only have a short amount of time, so if you can do this in maybe like a minute or two, can you tell us some of your favorite resources that you use with your kids?
Sure. Um, I would have to say that right now I am really thankful for teaching textbooks for my high schooler. She does that for math because it is online self-paced and it teaches her, her math and it self-grades. Also, the Veritas Press history, that has been great for us because it takes the weight off me for having to teach history. We also use The Good and the Beautiful for language arts. I found that to just be very thorough. It's My great aunt was an English teacher, and so language arts has been important to me. She spent my entire childhood correcting all of my grammar. So I'm having a good language arts curriculum. And I'm kind of right now looking for an online self-paced science, but Apologia is probably my favorite science. And I do think that they have an upper level online self-grading science now. So I'm going to look into that for next year.
Yeah.
And I have to Minimal Mom. If you want to look into minimalism, you can look at her on YouTube. She has a lot of really great videos to get people started on just paring down and trying to make your life a little bit more manageable with having less things in your house. So
I'll have to do that. I think I have looked her up years ago. But yeah, every now and then I have to come back to it and just get rid of things. And sometimes watching someone like that also just inspires you and
right.
in that mode where you're ready to do it.
I think she's become a homeschooling mom too. I think when she got her kind of house together and she found life was a little bit more simple, I think she's actually switched to homeschooling. So that's kind of neat.
Well, that is. Wow. Well, thanks so much, Lisa. This was encouraging. I always love talking to you. I feel like we've learned from each other. We've kind of grown along the way, and I just appreciate how you homeschool your kids.
You too, Sherry.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with my friend Lisa and that you learned something that you can take away and maybe apply in your homeschool. If you're new to my channel, would you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button? I do one video a week on homeschooling encouragement for everyday moms. See you next time.